We are going to go through some notes here for first day notes on Unit 0 with geometry, which is actually some old stuff, Algebra Review. We're going to start by clicking Make a Copy on that link. And this will create a copy of the Google Doc that we will eventually then upload into Canvas. Okay, to solve for x with an equation means to let's see what we're going to have as options here. We have move, group, isolate, variable, constant, coefficient. The key idea in solving an equation is you're going to isolate or get by itself the variable. Now, if there's more than one variable, then it'll tell you which one to solve for. A constant is a number by itself. A constant is like any just number. And a variable is the letter, but this word coefficient is the number that's multiplied by a variable. Examples of that include like 3x, it would be the 3 here. Now, if I had x cubed, that 3 is not a coefficient. It's not being multiplied by x. It's saying something else. It says multiply x 3 times. Okay. Now let's look at some examples of just general equations, but we're going to use a website, math.new. So I'm going to go to a second tab here and type in math.new. This is a tool called Graspable Math, but it allows you to work your way through a lot of algebra type of steps. We're going to be doing that all session long. So I'm going to highlight, copy this equation that's already written out for me, and I'll paste it in here. I could have also just typed it in there. And now I'm going to press enter, and it'll show up on my screen. What this allows me to do using this tool is that I can combine like terms very easily. I can also add or subtract or multiply, divide to both sides, and it'll help me in simplifying some of the calculations as I go. So right here, when I see 4x minus x, and then a 5 and a negative 4, if I were to try to combine 5 and 4x, that doesn't work, because that one is a constant and that one is a coefficient with a variable. Those are not the same. But if I have two terms with both x, then I can combine those, because 4x minus 1x is the same as 3x. Now I'm going to do something more. I'm going to try and get rid of this 5, so I can click on the equal sign, and I'm going to add negative 5 to both sides, and that's going to, the negative 5 and the positive 5 are going to make a 0. So you click on the equal sign, and then you say what you want to do to the equations. So I have negative 5 plus 5, and over here I have negative 5 plus negative 4. So the negative 5 plus 5, that makes a 0. That's great. And now I have two constants that I can combine, and that would give me negative 9. Now I have 3x equals negative 9. In other words, 3 times a number. So I'm going to do the opposite of times, and I'm going to divide. And I can click on the 3 over 3. That makes a 1. And the negative 9 over 3 is going to make negative 3. This is what we want to get to, is when the variable is by itself. It's just x, or just the letter, whatever that letter happens to be. Now I'm going to use my screenshot shortcut. You'll learn a lot about using that in class. I want to make sure it's going to my clipboard. I'll capture it, and then just paste it in here. What I want you to also do is kind of describe some of the things that you did. So we did combine like terms, then we added opposite to cancel, to make a 0, and then we combine like terms again, and then we divided to make a 1. And you're going to see that sometimes you're making a 1 and sometimes you're making a 0. That almost every move in algebra is doing something like that. Okay, now for this next one, same idea. I'm going to copy the equation, go over to my whiteboard template, And I'll just click on my screen, and it brings up this menu where I can type in the equation, but I've already copied it, so I can just click paste and done. Now I can't combine either side because it's got a constant and a variable term, a constant and a variable term. Okay, well then I need to figure out a way to kind of get the constants on one side and the variables on the other. So let's go ahead and do something here. I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And that makes this side where I'm going to have -3 plus 9. And that's nice and clean there. I want the 9 to combine with the -9, but they're not next to each other. So I can grab this plus sign and move it over. Now it's next to it, and now I can combine them. All right, so I have 6x plus 6 equals 8x. Now I need to subtract 6x from both sides. And again, they're not right next to each other, so I'm going to move this minus 6x over to the 6x. If I grab the symbol, it helps me grab the whole term. That's just a nice, easy move to do. And then the 8x minus 6x is actually 2x. Now we're going to divide by 2. So I'm going to click on the equal sign, divide by 2 to make a 1. And we get x equals 3. Awesome. So it seems like a lot of work because we're showing the entire process. But this is really kind of the level that we want to be looking at in terms of how do I describe the entire process. Now I'm going to be a little bit shorter with my written notes on this one. So I'm going to say that we added 9 to make a 0. Then we did combine like terms. And then I'm not going to say that we kind of move things around because combining like terms kind of implies that. Then we added minus 6x to make a 0 again. And then we have more combined like terms. And then we divided to make 1. So we're making zeros and then making ones. It doesn't have to go in that order, but that's the order that kind of made sense for this one. All right, now this next one has another kind of step going on with it. And so I'm going to paste that one in there. And now my whiteboard's a little bit wider, so I use my trackpad to scroll over. This one has a 2 with a parentheses here, and that means it's 2 times the entire group. Now I can click or try to see what's happening there. I can't combine these, I can't combine these, can't combine any of those. But I can click, hold, and drag this 2 to the inside, and notice that it now places itself on both of the items inside, all the items inside. So now that's called distributing. It's like multiplying into each of those terms. I can combine like terms as well. This 2 and this 4 are going to combine, so I'm going to add those together. And now I can start trying to get things by themselves. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, and that's going to make a 0 here. And I can also put this minus 6 with the minus 10 to combine. And then we're going to move this negative 2x over there by adding 2x to both sides. So that makes a 0 on that side, and now 4x on the other side. And the final move is I can divide by 4. Now if I were to just double click on a fraction that's already going to simplify, it will do the same thing as if I dragged the denominator up to divide. So I double click and it tells me x equals -4. So there's all the work for that one. I know this might seem like a lot of work because it's showing all the steps, but it's also nice because the computer keeps track of it and won't let you do something that's out of bounds. Okay, so we did something new. Now we did a distribute. Then we did some combine, and then we made a 0. So how do we make a 0? We did minus 6 to make 0 on the left, and then we did some more combines, and then we did plus 2x to make 0 on right. And some more combines. And then we divided to make a 1. Awesome. Okay, now on these three, I'm probably going to go over these in class since we don't have time to finish the full video here. But we mostly want to have those available so it also demonstrates the tool. I'll probably add a second short video to finish out the notes during nutrition break. Thank you.